Hey, right before we begin, if you like this kind of content, thumbs up, and if you make it to the end of the video, please subscribe if you can. I'm still trying to get my foot in the door on YouTube, so I'm willing to experiment with different kinds of content to make. And if you really like what I'm doing here, please share if you can. Every interaction you make with my content really makes a big difference to me. I really notice every little comment, every thumbs up, it all is greatly appreciated. So, hey, thanks, and let's get to the video. I will start this out just saying that escapism can be good in certain instances, like if someone's going through a hard time. Becoming immersed in a task or a piece of media, it can really help you get out of a bad place mentally, or just allow for some time to pass without the stress. Like being used like a nap and hitting the reset button, to get away for a moment so you can feel refreshed and better than where you started. I'd have to warn you that if you actively seek out escapism on a regular basis, you no longer have a hobby, you have unresolved issues. When escapism becomes the hobby, running away from your troubles supersedes the activity you were using to achieve the escape in the first place. When you completely lose any productive aspects of your hobby, and you're just letting time go to waste, or you're not taking care of your responsibilities and your life is suffering from it. If you have had a stressful day and need to unwind, I think that is the best use for escapism, but when you get to the point that you're avoiding your problems, that's where unhealthy habits and cycles can happen. What are you saying, Kale? Be productive with your time while playing video games? How can you do that? Get out of your mom's basement, you hypocrite. And my answer to that is sure, I do spend a fair bit of time playing games. I'm going to say that I'm not a fan of escapism, and I don't recall any time recently that I used games or fun hobbies as a means of escape. I'm a volunteer firefighter, I'm not exactly running away from reality of doing that job, right? So in my case, I'm not actively trying to get away from reality on a regular basis, and I would never think of letting a gaming addiction get in the way of going to a fire call or fire meetings. But okay, I could spend more time doing laundry. And the reason I actively stay away from consuming media just as a time waster is because I remember when I was a kid and having a summer where I had called my friends and wanted them to come and hang out. But with 3 back-to-back calls with my buds not being able to come over, I never got the motivation to call them again after that. I just kind of lost the whole summer mostly playing games alone. I remember playing for at least 8 hours one particular day and feeling disgusted with myself. After that, I sort of had an understanding of putting on reasonable limitations of time spent on games. Even to this day, I feel saddened if I somehow lose an entire day for one reason or another. When I started listening to podcasts after being granted the magical device that was the iPod Touch, I discovered the Giant Bombcast, and that introduced me to how to think critically about games and how to start following the industry as a whole. And at the time, I had 5 more years of games to catch up on for being that late to the 6th console generation, and I needed to know which ones were worth begging my mom for. And this guided me into becoming what is explained as self-expansive. I had other hobbies that led down this path too, like reading Japanese manga. I started reading comics and playing games for the experience of it, not just having something fun to do after being bored at school. Having friends in high school, playing sports, other real-life hobbies, meeting a girlfriend when I was in college, helped so much with depression and loneliness that I didn't need to use gaming like a crutch, just for something to do and forget about my loneliness or lack of ambitions. This is why I've grown to be someone who takes up collecting and playing games with an analytical mentality, i.e., judging this game against similar games I've played in the past and trying to bring extra value into my game experiences. It becomes easy to talk about games with friends and make videos like these when you actively pay attention to the hows and whats that makes the games good or bad. This self-expansive way to approach hobbies can allow you to spend time and not feel like time is being wasted. Sure, I have fun playing games, but a large part of me wants to be able to share what I'm experiencing. Imagine reading a really good book, but never talking about it or sharing your thoughts. Never going online talking to other people who've read it, sharing with others what you've experienced. Never looking into the subtext and themes of a good story, only consuming it for the surface level qualities, not taking anything with you when you're done. I think this is one of the reasons I don't mind not keeping up with most online multiplayer games. They do, for the most part, have good depth, strategy, and consistently keep the adrenaline flowing. Unless I try to be especially competitive and strive to get better and play at a higher level, after a while I feel like I'm not spending my time wisely and I force myself to move on to something new. It may not be in my nature to be able to spend thousands of hours playing a game just for something to do. I need another mechanism like progression or a new experience to keep me going. Instead of using games to pass time and get away from things I'd rather not think about, it's more constructive to be able to put down games now and again, be able to write and absorb and analyze my experiences. For obvious reasons, I have other healthy hobbies to occupy my time with. When I finished up college, I took up martial arts and made a few friends. It keeps me in shape for my duties as a volunteer firefighter. I got my girlfriend involved along with me. I got into watching UFC fights and have a good appreciation for the athleticism of world-class fighters. Heck, I can even play games like Tekken and others and recognize fighting styles and specific techniques. All of these synergistic aspects work together to create a self-expansive experience that gives purpose to the original activity. If I'm going to spend a lot of time playing video games, I'm going to do my best at adding other things to expand on. Video editing, Photoshop are all important if you want to be on YouTube, and I've made more than video game content before. Trying to make as many things as possible fit together in a way that gives more opportunities to grow and learn new skills, versus just flopping on the couch and playing another round of Call of Duty just for something to do after work. Escapism can have its benefits, but when the primary goal of an activity it becomes is its time sink and doesn't actively help with your problems. It creates a cocoon of comfort, and if you experience a piece of media that challenges your sensibilities, you reject the work as harmful. This is a complete antithesis to the expanding and analytical mindset that lets you appreciate darker and uncomfortable content. Escapism shouldn't be used to hide away from the media that pushes your comfort zone, or reasons to over-criticize a work for not caring for your sensibilities. I may not be into horror movies because I'm really weak to jump scares, but thanks to critics like Bob Iger, I can see the psychological, subliminal appeal of these films and being able to spot the themes and messages in films in general. Even without any experience with psychology, it was self-evident to me that having hobbies like computers, tech, editing, and software experience complemented gaming, whereas many just play games as a standalone hobby and a time waster. I'd like to restate that escapism is a tool that has its uses, but ultimately I see it as only as a bandage for real problems and issues, only with short-term benefits. And one of my main problems with escapism is that many people confuse it with the feelings of immersion. Immersion is just a state of mind that you are focused on a task or experience. Granted, if you are seeking escape, you first need to achieve immersion. The reason I try to avoid pure escapism in gaming is the same reason I thank a friend of mine for convincing me not to eat 2 calzones during a particularly bad day in high school. I remember being upset by something and just wanting to indulge in a second giant-ass calzone. This may be the only time I ever had the compulsion to eat as a direct counter to a stressor, and my bud thankfully pressed me not to do it. There have been plenty of times I'm into a game and I can't wait to start up my next session and think about while playing at work or busy doing something else. But I don't know of a time I remember being so stressed I just wanted to immediately dive into a game just to get away. In fact, especially during college, I remember feeling more stressed out while playing video games or goofing off because I knew that I should be doing work instead. And currently I'm satisfied with my job and my work usually stays at work, so for a long time my stress level has been pretty low, which is a nice thing for a change. Because of the last decade, through middle school and college, it was pretty high. So I might not be in the right sense to make a good statement about blind escapism because for the time being I don't have a need for it. Maybe in the future I have a stressful job or kids to take care of and use games and other hobbies as more of a way to unwind or have personal time as a primary reason. But for now I enjoy my hobbies as a way to expand my skills and as a network of creative activities to be productive during my free time.